Hello, 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 and welcome to another episode of Persuading for Profits. This is the sales and marketing podcast that gives you the tools, the strategies, the skills that you need to go out and crush it in your sales and marketing career. Thank you to radioupdate.com for hosting us and for the patronage. You can find us over there at radioupdate.com, the source for all things radio on the internet. Radio industry, I should say. And you can also find us at persuadingforprofits.com. My name is Brent Hoodenpyle. Welcome to the show today, flying solo again. I had a guest on from Costa Rica earlier this week, but I had a few technical problems getting the transmission to come all the way through. So we are flying solo, but we'll be back next week with a great guest. This is a very short, sweet, and to the point podcast today. I want to talk about a couple of things that I've seen online that people are talking about. And one of the things I want to talk about, which we've touched on several times in the podcast, is with different guests. I think Luke Jorgensen was the last person we talked about this with. But I like bringing this up with everybody, and it's the sales skill of storytelling. And stories are very powerful in sales. There's the old saying that says facts tell, stories sell. You always want to have stories in your sales presentation. I remember back in I was in the network marketing world several years ago, and there was a guy, I think Art Jonak, had a whole presentation that was nothing but stories. It was just one story after another was his whole entire presentation. And that is a great way to really do sales. Actually, I want to get this guy on, Tom or Keith Schreider. They also are really good about using stories for sales. But from my opinion, there's three great ways to use storytelling in sales. The first way to use storytelling in sales, which I love, which I kind of stumbled on myself, is to use it to answer objections. You know, a lot of times you'll do your presentation and then somebody will have an objection. And the tendency is to either hammer them with statistics and really or kind of refute them with a pre-canned rebuttal, which is the danger, I think, with handling objections is that it can turn into like an argument and you're trying to best them, or something like that. In sales, especially in the Sandler method, there's the idea of being okay and not okay, right? You always want your prospect to be more okay than you. You don't. A lot of salespeople do that differently, and maybe in some situations that works, in some very high dollar situations. But for the most part, you want your prospect to feel okay. So when you get into some sort of an argument with them, even if you win the argument, they're going to leave not feeling okay. And so I think a great way to answer objections is with a story. Hey, what about this? Well, I don't know about that. But, we've had a guy here who was in the same situation as you. He kind of felt the same thing, but he did this, this, and this was the result he got. I remember that from my days of going around the country at all the Sam's Clubs selling the knife sets. I do a presentation in the store and sell the knives there, which was actually it's a straight commission job. So it was it was a little different. There was a pre-canned pitch, but afterwards, I remember one day a guy came up to me who was a chef on a food truck, and he said, "Man, I got your knives a year ago. I don't let my guys use my good knives. I make them use yours. And on a food truck, industrial kitchen, using every day for a year. They've been great. I couldn't be happier. These things are great." And he said, "And this one knife over here, man, I use that to cut through an electric cable, and it cut through like it was nothing, melted butter." And so he told me this whole story, and he actually picked up another set of knives, and he was leaving. And a lady came up to me afterward, right after him, and said, "Hey, well, I don't know if these knives will hold up." And I just said, "Well, that guy over there said he's a chef, and he has a food truck, and I just told him the story that he had told me." And she's like, "Okay, well, now after I hear that, I'll take them." And to me, that was kind of where I stumbled upon it. And then after that, in a variety of situations, I've always just collected stories. I've always collected stories of, this guy came in there. He's a football, when I used to sell at Sleep Number, he's a football coach. He had the same problem as you, and now he's sleeping great, or whatever I was selling, right? And it works with radio too. It works with, especially business to business sales. So the thing that I encourage people to do in sales is collect stories. A lot of ways to collect stories is by following up with people after you sell them something, but I'll just collect stories from around the office, from your sales team, from your sales manager, and because testimonials are the most powerful thing you can use in your advertising copy or sales copy, but B, because you always have one in your back pocket to use for objections. The other thing is the great kind of I know Kim Walsh Phillips and Justin Guarini teach this. I know it's kind of an NLP, a neuro-linguistic programming thing, is to start a story, is to kind of create a world for your prospect. And it all starts with the word imagine. Imagine this. Imagine that you come home and this is thing. Imagine, hopefully you found out what all their pains are, what all the reasons what the problems are that they need a solution to. And with the word imagine, you can say, imagine that you did this. Imagine that now you have a world like this where you wake up, you're no longer in pain. Imagine that you walk into the office every day and there are leads that have come in overnight and your sales staff is cheerily following them back up because these people have booked an appointment with you. Imagine all these things. Imagine is a great way to use a story in sales. Just use it for your prospect to really give them ownership of the solution that you're providing. There's no better way. You can argue them into it. You can show them facts. But when you use imagine and when you tell a story, we are hardwired for stories in life. And so when you incorporate that into your sales process, you're leveraging one of the most powerful hardwired human tendencies, which is to hear a story and to see it through to the end and to see yourself in the story. We always see ourselves in the story. That's why they're so powerful. What would I do in that situation? What would I do if that happened to me? So when you use the word imagine and you create the scenario that they can feel, that they can see themselves in, you're really giving yourself a very powerful tool to get your message across. The other thing you can do, and this is from a Tom Schreider thing too, is you can do future pacing with stories. And you can do future pacing of what will their life be like if they didn't take you up on your offer. Imagine it's 2 years from now. And you see other people that were looking into this solution like I'm presenting you now. And I come back to you and I say, look at all these people, they have done this. Or you hear stories, or I have testimonials on my website about somebody who bought this situation an hour, or a month after you did, and within 6 months, their lives have turned around. And now here you are 12 months later, and things have not gotten worse, have not gotten better. They've only gotten worse. You're dealing with the same situations over and over and over again. How's that going to make you feel? Something like that, when you can show them what life will be like if they don't take action, and if other people do and get the result that they want, is another great way to use stories in sales. So that's kind of from some sales tips right there out of the bat to really kind of give you some skills and tools that you can use. Because that's what we're all about here. Man, salespeople, I think, are great. A lot of people hate salespeople. They're suspicious of them. They feel they can lie to them, whatever. But a good salesperson is it's a person who's out there because they want to make their own money, because they're doing the job that, quite frankly, a lot of people don't want to do, putting up with rejection, dealing with people. As Jordan Peterson says, cutting the head off of a hydra so that several more may pop up. That's the life of a salesperson and an entrepreneur. But they're doing it, and they're doing it because they want the reward at the end, and they're willing to put in the work to get the reward. So that's storytelling in sales. Now, a couple of other things here. I do have to cut this pretty short today because I got to jet out of here pretty quickly. AI in sales. We've been talking a lot about AI, and I think that man, it's ever evolving every week, right? What I would like to say about AI, which I don't think I've ever really changed on this, is that AI is a tool. It's not a replacement. It's kind of a shortcut. Actually, it is kind of a pretty good shortcut a lot of times. And it's kind of the 80-20 rule with AI. I don't think you want AI doing the 20% of the work that's going to give you the most effort, but for all the 80%, yeah, you can utilize it as best you can. The thing I see about AI is that it's a tool, and a lot of times in sales, it really just makes sure that stuff gets done, right? So, but whether you're using it for sales or marketing or whatever, you still need to know how to do the task so that it can be a tool for you. If you're using it to help you in your sales career, you still have to know how to sell. You can't not know how to sell and think AI is going to do everything for you. People say that it can, but I mean that's a quick trip. That's an AI shortcut to looking for another job. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't master sales skills on your own all the time. You master sales skills by doing the job, by getting in front of people, by making presentations, by prospecting, by saying stuff to people and see how they react. And then knowing how to use that, and then learning from that and using it going forward. You have the best AI, the AI you have in sales is inside of you, because you can train it. You can train you. You can train your own intelligence. Use instead of artificial intelligence, train your own intelligence. But yes, use AI for a tool. One of the great ways I've seen using AI is for research. I mean, my goodness, on using Sales Navigator on LinkedIn, using several of the tools out there. Man, I need to come up with a list of those tools. Several of the tools out there that you can use to kind of scrape information and compile data. Very powerful. Definitely use AI for that. And also, I've noticed something called Win AI, which I really like, because salespeople have such a hard time. Salespeople are free spirits. We don't like doing the accounting stuff. We don't like doing the logging the calls and using the CRM and doing all the paperwork. Even filling out the form is hard for salespeople, right? But so what I like about Win AI, which I've seen, is it's an AI system that is used with your sales staff. It listens in on your calls. It'll have you. It'll have a list of have your framework there. So if you're looking at your screen, you can watch your calls. You can see if you're answering all the questions. You can see if you're hitting all the hot spots. A lot of times you get in sales and you'll hang up the phone and your sales manager will say, "Well, what'd that guy say about that?" And you're like, "I forgot to ask it," because it's so easy to get wrapped up in the conversation, which they're all different. It's not the same conversation every time, right? So Win AI is a system that has your sales framework there and allows you to follow it, and then automatically import stuff to your CRM. I'm not paid by Win AI. I just think it's a cool system. I think there's going to be a lot more coming out like that. I've already seen some. I think ConvertWave is another one. These are very powerful tools that can really help you in sales, and use them for that. But I guess my whole point here is don't give up on learning the skills. Learn those yourself. Master those. Second thing is AI and copywriting. It's the same thing as sales. And I see people using AI for a lot of their writing. And it's really just because nobody knows how to write anymore. Learn copywriting. There are some great newsletters out there. Ben Settle does a free newsletter that's fantastic. There's Ian Stanley does a great daily email. There are a lot of people that do this. Learn good copywriting, and you learn good copywriting just by reading good writing. You learn to write by reading. You learn to do the output by taking in really good writing. Don't read garbage. Don't read stuff where it's like weak sentences. I mean, read stuff that gets to the point. Read stuff that moves you. Dan Kennedy, Clayton, the late Clayton Makepeace, the old Robert Collier letters. Collect junk mail. There used to be something in copywriting called a swipe file, right? Get on mailing lists, get on junk mail lists, get on email lists. People say, "Oh, if I put my name in here, they're going to send me newsletters. They're going to send me an email every day." Yes, hopefully they do, and hopefully it's good so you can learn something from it. I think there's still copies of the Gary Halbert letter online. Gary Halbert was a great copywriter back in the 70s and 80s. And I remember one of the letters, I devoured all those letters. I remember one of the letters he wrote, he's like, actually at the end of the letter, he said, this whole letter is written by my assistant, Susan, or whatever her name is. And the reason she can write this letter and sound just like me is because she types up my sales. This is back in the day on typewriters. She types up all my sales letters, all my sales copy all the time. And by doing that so much, she's learned how I write. And again, people will hope, well, the AI will learn how they write, learn my writing style AI. And that can be kind of good. But for you to learn good copywriting first, you got to read good copywriters. And if you really want to master what they're writing, copy out their letters longhand. Copy out it, get a notebook, get a pen, start writing it down. You'll see how they use sentence structures. You'll see how they use paragraphs. You'll see how they use bullet points. I mean, Ben Settle, he has a paid issue of his newsletter, and every month, toward the end of the month, he starts listing everything that's going to come out in that new newsletter that he charges for. And he writes bullet points. He writes bullet pointed copy. It is awesome. I mean, that's free. You don't have to buy the newsletter. Just read his free ones. You get a free education right there. There's a lot of people, and there's a lot of great information out there like that. AI for copywriting. Do you want to do all your copy? Maybe not all of it. Can it be a tool? Yes, absolutely. But you still have to know how to do the thing first, whether it's in sales or in copywriting. Use AI to your advantage, but learn the skill first. We're gonna have some AI experts on here. We're gonna be talking about all the great ways to use AI. It is fascinating. I learn something new every day about it, and especially with content marketing on social media. Man, it's a great way to leverage, get the most out of your time. And finally, I heard a great podcast yesterday, a little great episode from Ted Shuttlesworth Jr. Now, he is a pastor from down in Florida, I believe. He's a fun follow on Twitter. I'm not sure if you're a faith-based person, but he talked about something which I think is in line with all of this. And he talked about just the idea of diligence. And he had a few verses from the Bible about diligence. And I just think whether you're a believer or not, I think this is great wisdom for you to use in sales. If you are a believer, you're really going to love this because there's a lot in the Bible about just being an entrepreneur, quite honestly. So I'm going to give you a few of these right here to end out the day. And I hope you have a great day. Proverbs 22 through 29 says, do you see a man who is skillful in his work? He will stand before kings. He will not stand before mere men. Proverbs 10:4. A slack hand causes poverty, but the hand of the diligent makes rich. Man, you see that in sales all the time. The guy who's always lazing around, who's ducking out on the sales calls, who's kind of fooling around instead of really being diligent and hitting all of his follow-ups and hitting all of his metrics for the week so he can hit his sales goal. Huge difference in that person or that lady and the one who does them. Proverbs 12:24, the hand of the diligent will rule, while the slothful will be put to forced labor. I don't know, to me, having a 9-to-5 job where somebody tells you when you can go to the bathroom, when you can eat lunch, what time you be there, and what time you have to go home, kind of sounds like forced labor to me. That's why salespeople love their jobs so much, because they can set their own salary. They can dig in. They can work harder. They can get more sales. They can add on upsells. They can sell for a premium price, and they can have more money and a bigger reward for doing the same amount of time as the one in forced labor. And it all comes from diligence. Finally, Proverbs 21:5, the plan of the diligent the plans of the diligent lead surely to abundance, but everyone who is hasty comes only to poverty. Sales is not a get-rich-quick game. Sales is a game. It's a skill that you can master. But here's the deal. Once you master selling at one job, you can do it anywhere. You can take it to your next job. You can keep going up and up and up the ladder. You can do it for yourself. You can become an entrepreneur. There's so many options available to you when you put in the time and the work and you're diligent and you learn how to sell. that is it for today. Thank you guys. I really tried to fill this one with value to really give you some skills and tools you can use out there in the real world to make yourself money and to provide for yourself and your family and to have an impact on this world that we live in. Thank you again to radioupdate.com for the patronage. You can find this podcast over there. You can also find it over on persuadingforprofits.com. Check it out, and we will see you next time. Have a great week and go out and crush it. Bye-bye.